No, it started good. Yeah, I'm always surprised every single time. Every single time that this comes on, I'm always surprised that it works. Yeah, I'm a little bit late today. Actually, I was going to be on time, but then I got distracted just trying to get things prepared for what I'm going to be working on today. So instead of wandering around like off screen while this was showing, I decided to wander around and get these things before I started the stream. So that's how that happened. And I'm still, well, at least I'm not wandering around, but I'm reaching around. So this is going to be just a miscellaneous thing. I'm going to make some get brave. I'm going to get brave and put the sponsorship decals on the side of the car, because that has to happen. It has to go on the side of the car in order to get finished, and there's one on each side. And I pulled this picture out. This is the real car for two reasons. One is I wanted to make sure that I got the right one on the right side and the left one on the left side, because there's this Tiger, the Enco Tiger thing here. Okay. And it goes under the rear view mirror toward the back of the car. And there's two of them. So if I got them on the wrong side, it would be on the front of the car on both sides. So I need to make sure I get the correct decal on the correct side. They're really big decals. So they're going to be, I don't know, I haven't worked with them before. So we'll see how that goes. The other thing is the way the mirrors are attached. If you might recall, a week ago, I was talking about trying to attach the mirrors, and I actually did this thing. This little bit up here. This little bit up here is about the size of the attachment point for the mirror, and I used contact cement, and it held. I mean, it grabbed right away, and it held okay. So it's, at least theoretically, I mean, it wiggles around a little bit. It's attached, but not like real firm. So I could, at least theoretically, with the mirror, just on that little contact point, just put it on the windshield. But then I looked at the real car, okay, and the way it is put on is just totally different. There's, instead of just this tiny little point that attaches to the windshield, there's actually a plate. You can see it here. It's a pretty significant plate, but it bolts onto the windshield like that. Okay. And I'm not sure I can do this, okay, but I can do that. So what I've got here is some extra plastic. And I'm going to take some of this thin gray part here. Okay. And I'm going to sand it down so it's smooth on both sides, because right now, this is from the Savoia S21. It says so right there. This is the sprue from the Savoia S21. And what I'm going to do is cut a part out and like grab a piece here. And I'm going to fabricate, that's the correct word, a couple of little plates like that. They're going to be very, very tiny, like 1 millimeter by 2 millimeters, okay? And then but it'll give me a much bigger surface, like a 10 times larger contact surface to attach it to the windshield, and it'll actually be historically more accurate. So at some point, probably after I do the decals, because I really need to do the decals, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the decals, right? I'm going to, I thought these were okay. I'll have to look at these again in a minute. I'm going to be cutting and sanding little bits of plastic, and then I'm going to attach the mirrors with epoxy so that they're really solid, so they don't just wiggle around. And then Then I'll paint them and attach them to the windshield. What that'll do is it'll just add another day, another stream to how long it'll take to get the car done. This is the other part I really wish I could fabricate, which is the front of the air scoops that go over the velocity stacks have these screens on them. Okay, these aluminum screens to keep out big chunks of tires and stuff. You can see them on both sides here. And I tried to do that. I tried to make some with like plastic and cardboard, and I can get it, I can make it oval like that so it goes on the front, but I can't make it look like a screen. And I don't have anything that would look like a screen, like maybe a piece of very loose fabric or some sort of fine mesh or something like that. So my model isn't going to have that. So that's the plan for today, is to get these big decals on. That'll be a huge step forward to get those big decals on, and then to fabricate these attachment plates for the side view mirrors out of this plastic, and get them on. The other thing is if you see this metallic rectangle here, that's an ignition system. That's an electronic ignition. It came with the car. And it was just sort of weird. It was looking at it, and way back here it says transistorized ignition, and I've got that part, and it just says stick it on the side of the car, and there's just no idea whether it was even real or not. But when I looked at the picture of the car, there it was. So the model got it right. Yeah, so this is getting pretty close to being done, but it's not going to get done quickly because of needing to get the side view mirrors on correctly and getting the decals. What I was whining about were these are the knockoff hubs, and these are okay, but these had holes in them because just the way they were done. And I thought I got the filler in. I don't know if there's still a pinpoint hole there or not. Well, I'm going to paint these aluminum. I'm going to repaint these because I primed them after I put the filler on. So I'm going to paint them. Looks like I need to paint the backs again, so I'm going to flip them over, paint the backs, flip them over, paint the fronts. And if there's still a problem with those, then that'll be another more time that it will take then to get this done, because I'll have to put more filler in and reprime those two. Just this little stuff just seems to take forever. Oh yeah, and what's this? This is my this is me. This is my Ulseth Ralph Furbog fighter. Again, to Shiranun armor. This is supposed to represent the armor of Ramarden. Magical armor, whose magic is not yet working because I haven't become fully attuned to it. I think it came out okay. Okay, I'm not a real great artist, but I followed Nicole's instructions about base coating and washing and then putting the lighter coat over the high points again, and I think that worked out okay. And then I put some silver paint on for some of these rivets. I didn't want to overdo it. So, yeah, it's my flaming longsword and my cold enchanted dagger. This is kind of dark, but I kind of like the dark look on the cloak. For the metallic, I used a gunmetal color as opposed to the bright Only really bright silvers are the brooch here and the belt buckle. Oh, yeah, that got done. It just got done as I was doing other things on the models, and there was enough downtime that it gave me time to finish it. Such a deal. Trying to find a place to put it that doesn't clutter. That didn't work. Yeah. Now it's standing there in a place. Oh, just to get warmed up, I'm going to paint the backs of these, let them dry, flip them over. This box for this. Yeah, let them dry, then flip them over, and then that either, I guess, really. You can see it okay, kind of. And then I'll tackle the decals. Those have to, I can't get the car finished until I put the decals on. And so far, I haven't messed them up, the decals I put on so far. So if I can get these on, then the car will be really close to being done, except for just like the roll bar, the side view mirrors, and the covers on air intakes. Oh, of course, I keep forgetting about that. It's kind of an important part of the car. Are the wheels and the tires. So yeah, I'm going to have to actually put those on at the end. Yeah, these are still sort of okay painted, but there's the primer got around to the backs. Yep, I was gone for a week. It was a good trip. It was nice. Got to see some relatives, saw an air show. It's fun. Kind of lost track of what I'm doing here, and I didn't come up with anything new for the monologue. Really want to go back to the Mr. Ed, of course thing. Kind of kept that up way too long as it was. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about. Maybe what I should talk about is how if I got the background music back, then I wouldn't have to, it would fill in the space, right? The auditory space, and I wouldn't have to worry about maintaining some sort of meaningless dialogue. Okay, well, those parts just need to dry now. We'll let you watch it dry for a while. The other thing I'll be working on, because I'm just not sure how the fabrication of those little plates is going to go. But if there's like downtime while I'm waiting for something to be done, like if I get those plates done fairly quickly, that's kind of an oxymoron. This stream and quickly is a word that just, it makes no sense in the context of this stream at all. Those things, nothing happens quickly. And said consistently that my catchphrase is now. Got almost nothing done, but took a long time to do it. Okay, so this the decals out. These are the decals. They're this is clearly the right side of the car, and this is the left side of the car. I'll have to remember that. These are aftermarket decals because the ones that come with the kit are the 1964 sponsorships decals. And even these, they're close. I mean, you can see the Premier and the blue and red and the white under here and this and this and that and this. These are all pretty close, but they got the Enco. Look at that. And that's kind of funny, isn't it? That on the car, the Tiger is in front of the Enco oval. And here it's behind it. Otherwise, they did this is pretty close to the way the sponsorship decals looked on the car. Ideally, really ideally, each one of these would be cut out individually so that there wasn't any decal material showing. So I'm going to have to cut these out as close to these edges as I can all the way around without actually cutting into the paint so that the decal edges don't show that much. What they recommend doing, and this is something that probably should be done, but I can't at this stage, is you put the decal on and then put gloss clear coat over it. But that would mean spraying clear coat over the entire car, including like the windshield and the interior. It would just be incredibly difficult to do that. The only other way it could have been done is if I'd put these on actually before I did anything. Before I did anything else in terms of the construction of the car. I suppose that could have been done. But I didn't. So these decals will look like decals. Let me get my decal cutting scissors out. The very, very tip of these doesn't cut, but the rest of it here, this curved part is very sharp. I'm doing this just to separate them from each other. I don't need the little print that tells me that these are decals. I know that. I will get the car out. The car, these are the parts that are left. There's these little suspension parts that go in the back here. They attach to some points like here and here. So the decals need to be in front of that. The roll bar goes here across the top. Those are the tires and the wheels. Those are the mirrors and the electronic ignition, and these are the covers that go over like that. So you can see it's mostly done. Tape this so it's in the same orient. And my hand is not steady. It's not, I like my hand to be steady. Okay. Yeah, these are all messed up, but they'll be covered up and be invisible, so I don't care anymore about these velocity stacks. Okay. So if the car is oriented like this, okay, which it is, then this one goes here so that the Tiger is at the top and near the back, right? And then this one goes here Yeah, right, right. The black paint is peeling off of the two. I had that happen up in the front too. Is that the black paint is peely? So what I'm even going to do. This is kind of absurd, right? But I'm going to in the back go. This is left. This is right. Well, I can't put this on until I cut it out. So I'm going to start trimming it off. I actually am, and then once it's off, I can kind of position it. The yellow stripe starts right where the suspension part comes in. Pretty much, it's like right there. Except it also has to fit and it has to go on. Decal is actually too big. Well, I'll cut it out and see how it goes because it can't go any further forward than that because that's as far forward as it can go because there's the suspension parts there. Much up front. Oh well. Trim it up. See what happens. This might have to actually be modified. Seriously, it might in order to get it to work. It was hilarious. So this is actually the real car, right? And this is the real car. And when you look at it, the tiger is actually behind the Enco sign here. It's further back. And then when they redid it, when they did the whole thing, they did it wrong. They got them reversed. Okay. I know it might seem silly, but in order to trim this really close to the decal, so that there's not a whole lot of decal hanging over the edge, I do need to put these on so I can see what I'm doing. No, it doesn't. yellow stripe is a little bit challenging here. Don't want to make it too thin. We also don't need a whole lot of excess. Now, if I were ambidextrous, I'd be able to come at this from the other direction. Cut right along this edge here, as opposed to having to do that. Probably should grab some tweezers, which I will do. Okay, pretty decent. See if it fits on the car and how, right? If the stripe goes up in front as far as it goes, this has to come down. So it's under the windshield. So it has to go under the attachment point for the suspension. That just barely wraps around it. It's pretty low on the car. The Tiger, the Anco Tiger, just goes up really high, and it's sitting right where the electronic ignition is supposed to go. So I'm going to have to manipulate that, and then this goes just over and under. This goes just under the attachment point for the suspension here. Should be higher up on the car. Yeah, the decal's just too big. But it'll just have to work. Yep, that's how it'll go. And it has to go. I have to do it. So here we go, doing it. I'm going to get a toothpick out. You push it around. I want it nice, soft edge. Keep buying toothpicks. And swab thing to kind of soak up the water. Okay, well, this isn't going to be 100% historically accurate, but okay, well, that used to be clean water, but then I put paint in it. I have to get another one with clean water. I'll be back in just a sec. Hi, Halfie the Hound. Thanks for joining in. You're going to watch me struggle to put a slightly oversized, historically inaccurate, but very close decal on the side of the car here, which I will do after I get some clean water, because this water here now has a little bit of metallic paint in it, and I don't want to pollute the decal. So I have to get some clean water. Be right back. It's clean water. And then the decal needs to get very wet. The whole thing needs to slide off. With these little decals up in the front there, I mean, that was pretty easy. The whole thing just slid off, but this is much more gigantic. I want it all slidey, but I also don't want it to just float around on the water either. Because what I want to do is kind of position it and then slide the paper off underneath it so that the body of the car is wet. This has to be wet. Okay, with water. Otherwise, I can't position the decal. They actually suggest, and it's a good suggestion, setting this on a sponge, a wet sponge, rather than having it float around in the water like this. Could have done that. Okay, well, that's not really good. The little yellow stripe in the back. Okay. Oh, shit. It came off all by itself, separately. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening here. Are each of these separate? Toothpicks go. Holy shit. Okay. This is not good. This is totally unexpected. These parts are all separate. Okay, this is going to be interesting. No, I lost my Ford. Oh shit. Sorry. This was totally unexpected. I mean, just totally unexpected about how this worked. Each of these decals is separate. I lost Ford. There it is. What a disaster. Okay. Um, we have no idea how I'm going to do this now. The car won't stay still. I lost Ford. The yellow, where the hell did the yellow stripe go? Good grief. Okay, this is lost. I can't do this. Um, I don't think I can make this work. I did not expect these to come off like a tiny bit at a time. Okay, I mean, it was totally unexpected. Um, I've got the other decal on the other kit, the other decals. I might be able to save some of it that way. Let's see if I can get these correct. I'm missing like 3 of them. Okay. What's happened here is just an unmitigated disaster. Okay. So what's going to have to happen is I'm going to take all of this off. It's ruined. There's no way I can fix it. Um, what I discovered way too late. Okay, just way too late. And I've got this decal set. I'm going to have to buy a new set. I'm just going to have to buy a new set. It probably cost me like twice as much as this model. Is that each and every one of these bits is separate. Okay, I thought it was like one big decal. No, each of these is separate. And so the way it needs to come off is that it just needs to slide off, and then the next one, and the next one. Okay, so if I'd known that, I would have been able to do it, but I didn't know it. So you saw, I mean, this was a total disaster. Hi, Huffy the Hound. Yeah, I thought this would be pretty easy. That this one big slidey decal thing, but each one of those tiny little bits is separate. Each one of these little bits is separate, so I didn't need to trim them close at all because there's nothing to them. It's just each one. And now that I know that, I'm going to have to buy new decal. Who knows how long that'll take? This car will never be finished. Well, I can go. I'm going to go ahead with some of the other bits then. And I'll just have to deal with the consequences of the decal issue. Because when I slid it off, I thought this whole thing would slide off. Okay, that they were just all like one big set. But each one of these tiny little bits is a tiny little bit, including the stripe, the Ford, the Lotus. This isn't even one piece itself. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces that need to come off individually. Wow, that was a shock. Well, then, that kind of makes sense that some of these might not be positioned just right. Okay, well, I don't know what to say about that. That was just really a shock, just an absolute total shock, and it turned out to be horrible. And the decal set didn't work, and I don't want to use the one that came with the car because it's just incorrect. But yeah, when it came off, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's not. See, there's like one of them there. These tiny little bits. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is, I think I'm going to end up just cutting them off. I mean, there's room in between them. Is cutting each one off separately, and just putting them on one at a time. I don't know how else to do it. If I leave them on here and try to slide them off like one at a time, I suppose that's theoretically possible. Just, slide them off one at a time and get a position, but I'd have to keep trimming this off. All right. Well, I learned a lesson there, didn't I? Yep. Man. Going to be the source for aftermarket open wheel decals. This was made in 2003. I wonder if I can still get them. See, when I look at this, these are the decal sets for the inaccurate one. Okay, the inaccurate one, it's one big decal. The whole thing comes off like that. And so I kind of thought the other one would be like that too, but it just really wasn't at all. So in 2003, this cost $6. I don't know if they still make them anymore. I'm sure somewhere I can find them. It'll probably be like $40 or something. So did I buy this kit in 2003? Holy cow. Well, that was an unmitigated disaster. I mean, just a total, complete, hopeless disaster. And now I've got a thing to do. I need to buy new decals. And this was actually coming along pretty well. I guess I don't have to worry about things to talk about now. I mean, look, just all these cute little advertising bits. Just came on just. Guess I would be sad if it weren't just so pathetically awful. It was just oof, badness. That was just unmitigated badness. So let me see if I can do this modification for the side view mirrors that I was planning to do. Like, this can't go any worse, I don't think. Yeah, that was something. Just waiting for the decals to come off and then just like, oh, it's one at a time. Which is, it's going to be okay because I did it on the nose of the car. And I actually found that if I keep the decal like on the edge of this, if I use this like a little spatula, the flat end of one of these toothpicks, I can lift it up and slide it over and do that. And I probably can do that. Except that there's like 15 tiny little decals for each side of the car. I have to say that that was truly impressive detail on the decal to do it like that. But yeah, I don't know. This car might. Hopefully, I can find another decal set. Okay, what I'm going to do is cut out a piece of this plastic. Thin it down, flatten it out, and make some tiny little rectangles to which I can attach the side view mirrors so that I can then attach them to the windshield. I don't know what to say. There was no way to salvage that. They just started sliding all over the place. I lost some pieces. Just the way that, because of what I was expecting and the difference between what I was expecting and reality was just too great. So I know what I'll be doing today. I'll be going online and, what would be really, just go to patreon.com/Dyson Dungeons, patreon.com/Dyson Dungeons, become a patron at a high enough level that your patronage would be sufficient to pay for a new decal set. What do you say? So those decals were like 20 years old. I didn't realize that I bought this kit so long ago. But I did. It's that old. Trying to make it thinner. I want this to be pretty thin. Okay, well, I have to admit I'm kind of taken aback. I'm taken aback by what happened there. I was looking forward to seeing those on the side of the car because it would look really nice. That's how it's supposed to look. Those are really important. That's a really important finishing feature to the car, and it's gone. It just doesn't exist anymore. No, just poofed. Got poofed into oblivion. This isn't working. Just use the really coarse stuff. What okay, so one thing I probably could have done, but I didn't, is I probably could have sanded this while it was still attached to the sprue instead of trying to hold on to these little pieces and slide them back and forth on the sandpaper. I probably could have done that. But once again, I didn't. There's more in here. I'm just going to do that. If it doesn't work one way, try it another way. And it's a lot easier to hold on to, that's for sure. What I'm attempting to do here is take this piece of plastic and make it much thinner. It's already pretty thin, you can see that. But I want it to be very thin because it's going to be a little like metal plate. It's going to represent a little metal plate. That goes on to which the side view mirrors attach and then is attached to the car. So one side of this can actually stay kind of rough like this. That would be okay. That's the side that attaches to the windshield. The other side needs to be polished a little bit. But that's the part that's going to be showing. keep sanding this, and it doesn't seem to be. There's a lot of plastic that's come off of it, but it doesn't seem to be any thinner. I don't know. Okay. To the side, I'm going to polish. Oof. Well, today was that was just awful. I mean, I lost my whole decal set. Just a disaster, because it was not at all what I expected. And so there. So buttons. It was sometimes there's. I mean, that's the first time really. That's the first time really I've had an oops that was unrecoverable. I mean, totally unrecoverable. I've had them before, some pretty significant ones. Okay. Where I've had to like remove paint from a piece completely, just sand it off, reprime the whole thing, start from scratch. I've had that happen, but I've never had a situation where it was such a fail. Hi, thank you. Oh, well, 2 months of holiday. Okay, I'm a little jealous of that. That's pretty cool. I came back from 1 week of holiday. Just got back today. And I've been working on this car, which is, as you can see, coming along really pretty well, except today I was attempting to put the decals on the side, the advertising decals. Okay, all the sponsorships. Okay. I thought I had a sheet of decals that would, the whole thing, just all of these would just slide off and attach. But it turned out that each tiny little piece of this was a separate decal. And I didn't know that. And then they just started floating around and moving around and getting folded and lost. And I couldn't recover it. Now I have to find new decals. So the ones I bought, I didn't realize that it was so long ago. I bought them in 2003. It was 22 years ago. Jeez. That tells you something, right? So hopefully I can find something the same, or the equivalent at least. I don't know. We'll find out. So what I'm trying to do here is make attachment points for. Okay, this car just needs to go. I'm actually going to put this back in the box because it is just a sad reminder of what happened. The other thing I learned is I'm going to go ahead at some point. I'm going to, before I put the decals on again, before I try to do that, now that I know what I'm dealing with, I'm going to put the suspension parts back, attach them, get them attached, put the covers over the air intakes, get that done. probably attach the roll bar. At least then I'll know where all those pieces are and where they're supposed to be. Take this out. This is what I'll be working with. I'd probably do that today if I weren't so messed up with the way the decals went. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here. Well, thank you. Yeah, it would look even better if this hadn't totally turned into a disaster. Just incredible disaster. Is these mirrors, the side view mirrors on the kit, have this, I'll show you one. Have this tiny little prong, okay? Tiny little prong that's supposed to attach to the windshield. There's not enough of a contact point there to be sturdy. But then I looked at the picture of the real car, and the mirrors are attached to these metal plates that are then attached to the windshield. And what I can do is, if I can attach, I can use epoxy, okay, to attach that tiny little point to this plate, and then attach the plate to the car. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. Hopefully that won't turn into a disaster. So somehow now I need to cut 2 little rectangles out of this plastic and then shape them and then paint them. Well, I'm going to paint them after I attach the mirrors. But I need to get those, and I would use the saw, but I don't think the saw will work in this case. I'm just going to carve them out. I cut them this way. How big do I want them? Like that. That's a good size. I'm going to keep at this until it cuts through. No, that wasn't good. They got offline and messed it up. I messed up the surface there. I'm going to have to polish this side now instead. This is anything going to go right day? The answer? Oh, it's really just not. It's just not. So there it is. So what happened was, and this is fortunately, I've got a lot of this material, is I was cutting along the edge here and the blade moved so that it's now, well, maybe not. Maybe it's okay. I'm going to say it's okay. So far I haven't cut my finger. That might be a feature. I'm going to keep it on camera so that if I do and it starts bleeding all over the place, you'll get to watch that. But I'm going to have to buy a new decal set. Because the decal set I had is ruined. It's just ruined. Completely, totally screwed up, ruined. Okay. So it doesn't look like much. Now I want 2 of them. about like that and like that. So I'm going to cut. Make it a little bigger. I'm going to cut one. It'll probably go flying and I'll end up losing it. Just watch. Wow. So today was a day I thought those decals were just one. Why am I cutting in two separate places? That's just not good. So I thought that was just one decal, like the one that came with the kit. Okay. And it wasn't. Each one of those tiny little advertising things was a separate decal. Yep, it happened. I wonder where it went. Well, this may be I'm not going to accomplish anything day today. This just might be that kind of day where everything just doesn't work. Okay. See if I can do this. Try again. I'm going to hold it. I didn't lose it. Yay. This cardboard is about to be retired after I cut into it like this. But okay. Well, I didn't lose them. Yay. Now I need to make them look the same size and shape. Because this one's it's just not. Looks like I should, the corners can stay sharp. So if I can get these to be the same size and shape, then I'm going to mix up some epoxy and attach the mirrors. They don't have to be exactly identical because they're on opposite sides of the car and they'll be hard to see. You can't see them next to each other. It doesn't help that I keep flipping them around. Hey, I should have learned my lessons some time ago. This is why I was working over this tray before, so that when things drop, they fall into the tray and they're not lost. I wonder where that other piece went. I'd really like to have it. Yeah. Searching for this little rectangle of gray plastic that just went flying. Let these turn out, by the way. I have to flip them over. paint those aluminum in a little bit. Well, thank you so much. I did try, and it was a failure, and I'm going to have to find a whole nother set of decals, and I hope I can do that. Otherwise, I won't ever be able to finish the model. But that was just such a shock. I didn't expect each of those tiny little decals to be individuals, to be separate. And so when they started sliding off one at a time, I didn't, I couldn't save it. I was totally unprepared for it. Now that I know, if the next decal set comes that way, now that I know what I'm dealing with, I should be able to, it should be okay. I can find a way to put them on one at a time. It'll be really tedious. It'll take forever, but at least I will know what I'm doing. And it was, and when I lost the word Ford, when it folded in on itself, that was the end of it. Then there wasn't any way I could fix it. Yeah, I mean, once it was lost, it was lost. And this one's getting kind of to where I want it to be. It's still a little too big. The other one's much bigger. That's going to require a fair amount of plastic removal. File it down. I want to get one of them. If I can get one the way I want it, then I can get the other one to match. So these things look like they were about, a little less than half the length of the rear view mirror, the side view mirror. I guess it's better that one is too big, because then I can make it smaller. If it gets too small, then it has to start over. Yeah, it's not ever fun, really. Okay, well, pretty close to the way I want it. So there's this one. This one needs to be like that one, which means, as you can see, it needs to be significantly smaller. I'm going to try to get the width this way first, because it's hard to hold on to. What did I do? I used up an hour and a half of disaster today. Yeah, that's a good point, too. Thank you for being so encouraging. I mean, I really needed that considering how this went today. Why are they? There's like an electrostatic attraction there. That was weird. I keep thinking I probably could have put an alligator clip on this and held it with that rather than trying to hold it with my fingers. Today is oh, I coulda or I shoulda. This is an I coulda shoulda day. And I coulda shoulda but didn't day. That's how this is shaping up. So I expected that by now the decals would have been on. I would have looked at them and said, "Oh, they look like decals, but it looks okay." That's what I had expected, and then I'd be doing this and just like, oh, I know this is fiddling around with stuff I probably don't need to fiddle with, but it'll look a lot better this way if I do it this way. But instead, it turned into wow, this could not have gone any worse sort of day. But I guess those things can happen, can't they? Yeah. I know they can happen because it just did. So if anyone is joining in part way here, what I had been expected to do was that I had this decal set, which is much more historically accurate than the one that came with the kit, because the one that came with the kit is for the 64 car. But I thought that the side decal, just like the one with the kit, okay, was just one decal. But it turned out that each of these little sponsorship things, each of these tiny, they were tiny little decals, was an individual separate decal that needed to be applied one at a time. And I found that out when I put the thing in the water and I was about to just slide the whole thing off. The whole thing didn't slide off. Just little pieces started sliding off, and then they folded on themselves, and then they fell in the water and stuck to the paper. And the paper was way too big because I didn't cut them out individually. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Oh my, oh my. Yeah, it was. I'm just hoping I can find another decal set to replace it and just start over. Looks like pretty much the same, don't they? It's a little bigger than the other, maybe. Okay. I could get out a pair of calipers. I have some really fancy. Actually, they belong to my daughter-in-law. like micrometers. I don't know why I'm messing with this. They're going to be on opposite sides of the car. There's no way anyone can tell the difference between these two. I'd like the plastic to be thinner, but I'm not sure I can. I'm not sure what I really can do about that. Okay, now what I need to do, need to look at my failure of a model again. I'm going to show you what I'm going to try to do with these, okay? The shiny side and the rough side, and I need to keep the rough side with this black stuff so that I can remember which is which. Now, if I'd put the tweezers away, they would be right where I am looking for them. Now I don't know where they are. A pair of tweezers. I don't know if these will work. So what I'm attempting to do here, these are going to go on the side right here with the windshield like that. And the mirror is going to be attached to it. It'll be a lot easier if the mirror is on it because I'll hold it like that. That's going to go on like that. The plate's still way too big. I don't want to make them too small because then it would miss the point. But they look pretty tiny, right? But when put them up next to the car, they look big. So this is going to attach like that. I don't know, you can't see it, my hand's in the way here. I'm going to attach like that. And then the plate will go onto the car. I need to make them a little smaller. I don't want to keep taking your time up doing this, but they just need to be smaller. You know, there wasn't any I don't know what I could have done differently. I made an assumption about those decals, based on the other decals with the kit and others that I've worked with. And that assumption turned out to be just completely wrong. And by the time I discovered the issue, it was past the point of no return. I suppose, I don't know if I could have done that. I could have put them back onto the paper. I suppose, tried that, let it dry, and then started over from there. But by then, they had slid all over the place. They just... they had already kind of disintegrated. Well, live and learn. Get another set of decals and start over, I guess. Okay, that's a much much smaller it is. Quite a bit. That's better. So I've been using contact cement for this sort of thing, but the thing with contact cement is that even after it cures, it's still kind of flexible. At least that's what I found. And I want these to be really solid, and so I'm going to use epoxy. The downside of that is it takes 5 minutes to set up, so I'm going to mix a tiny little bit of it and let it set for like half that time, 2 or 3 minutes, and then put it on, and then hold it in place for a little over 2 minutes. That'll be pretty boring and sad, but that's how that's going to work. And if this works, then I have a nice solid attachment surface here that I can use with contact cement on the windshield, because there's more than just a tiny little point. And even if there's a little bit of flexibility, you can see the size of the contact surface is fairly large. That's what I'm going to attempt to do. So it looks like I managed to get like nothing done today. It was just pretty much an unmitigated disaster. So while I'm waiting for the new decals, assuming I can get some, I'm going to do some other... I'm not going to put the wheels on until the end because they'll just get in the way and probably get knocked off. But I'm going to attach the covers for these stacks, and I'll put the roll bar on, and then I'll try to get these mirrors on, of course. Putting these mirrors on will be good. It'll give me kind of a reference point. then I'm going to move on to other things. I'm going to finish up the Apollo and start working on the Star Trek thing. And then when the decals show up, the decals that I have yet to find, okay, when they finally show up, because, you know, they'll show up sometime because I'm very optimistic that I'll be able to get them. Be unrealistically optimistic that I'll be able to get them. Then I'll put them on. And then the car will have, then it'll be a car. But kind of like the Apollo, you know, I built an entire model. The Savoia, and like most of this, since the Apollo was almost, but not quite done. Okay, those will do. I think those will actually do. I'm going to paint these just to do some painting, because why not? And then pull out the epoxy and see what all stuff can happen there. No backseat streaming. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I didn't get any, oh, what an idiot. You know, how could anyone make that stupid mistake? Of course, those decals would have been individual. Didn't you ever use that kind of decal set before? You know, if people were master modelers and they were watching, you know, listening, there's the tweezers. They were under a paper towel. But I have to keep reminding everybody all the time, this is definitely not a how-to show. As you saw, if you watched the disaster of the decal, if you watched the decal disaster, you would know 100%. Why is this? That this is not a how-to show, because that was a definitely not do it this way. You know, I would have, if I made the assumption early on when I was putting the decals on the nose of the car. There's a couple of little tiny ones that go there. Is I cut them off. They always tell you that. Trim them right up to the paint on the decal. That's how you're supposed to do it, so that you don't have decal material hanging out, you know, and making it look like you just put plastic decals on. So I did. The ones I put on the nose, I very, very carefully trimmed. And when they slid off the paper, you know, they were right there. If I had like just cut them off and left most of the paper on, I would have seen that the way these decals work is that it's just the paint and that's the only part that that comes off. I would have seen that, but I wouldn't have expected it to be the case with these. So buttons, well, at least the filler worked. Okay. The center of these here used to have a hole in them because of the injection molding. There's this little prong kind of thing on the back, and the mold, frequently the mold doesn't fill with plastic. It just doesn't completely fill. and as a result, there's a hollow on the other side, especially with these older models. This one was made in the 70s. I had that happen with the submarine. Okay, well, these will do. I'm going to put these parts back in the box. Back in the box. Put this over here. So these are the covers that go here over the engine, things like that. I'm going to attach those. I'm going to put the roll bar on here and put these, add these rear suspension rods back here. It'll all be a little bit delicate, but that's why I wanted to get the decals on first, so that I didn't like maybe knock these pieces off. But at least it'll look like a car. It'll be, except for attaching the wheels, it'll look like it's done. I might do that on a day when my fingers are working. On Friday, when I come back and begin to work on the car again, I'm not going to do anything on it today. Just not. Okay. I'm going to attach these pieces so that they'll be on the car. What did that axle get? Needs to be symmetric. So, yeah, everything but the wheels. On Friday, I'm going to attach everything but the wheels and the spinners that go on the wheels. And then I'll let you know what success, if any, I've had in terms of finding a new decal set. Here, as a reminder of how badly things went today. Okay. Need to try to attach the mirrors to these. The paper towel doesn't give a very nice flat surface at all. So I'm going to move them. Get a different kind of paper. I need some for the mixing the epoxy too. Well, maybe I should finish cleaning my brush. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you don't need to respect me because I'm old, but you can respect me because I admit that I really messed up. I really messed up, and that I'm going to do. And I didn't say any really bad words. I really wanted to. I really wanted to say some really bad words. Yeah, I'm not even sure if a super master modeler would have known what the issue was there, because unless they were really familiar with those kinds of decal sets, really had used them before. They wouldn't have known what the problem would be. Okay, I'm going to do this in 2 batches. It'll end up taking longer. What I mean by that is I'm going to mix up some epoxy and attach one of the mirrors and let it set before I mix up the epoxy for the other one. Okay, because I can't hold 2 of them at once. And what's going to have to happen once I get the epoxy on, and it could be kind of a blob. It's okay if it's a little bit of a blob. Is this little point here, this tiny point here, gets attached to this, and then needs to be like vertical. Okay, it needs to be oriented right. So I'm hoping what I can do is get it so that it's really close. Okay. And then I can't, it's hard to see with my fingers on it. Okay, is that I can make some final adjustments before the epoxy totally sets. What would be really nice is if I could construct a jig. I suppose if I were a super master modeler, it would create some sort of jig that would hold the mirror in place. But I'm not, so I'm not going to. I'm going to take a 3-minute break. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, is getting it right. That's why I don't use super glue. I don't use CA glue, because that would work. I mean, I put a little bit of CA glue on there, on point, and then touch it, and it would hold. But if I didn't get it absolutely perfectly right immediately, I couldn't fix it. So I'm going to take a quick bio break. I need to do that, and then I'll be back, and I'll be stirring some epoxy up. See you in like 3 minutes. Okay. I'm going to still keep working in the tray here, because this is another one of those things where if I dropped it, which could very well happen, I want it to stay. I wonder if this would work before I mix anything up. This is like a holder like that. See? It could actually be okay. That's better than holding it with my fingers because I can see. Let's try that. Worst comes to worst, I can always, pull them off and then sand it down and restart or build new ones. At least if this doesn't go well, and it might not. Okay, if this doesn't go well, I should be able to recover. Unlike the decals where it became impossible. I could not recover. Everything was just too far, way too far gone. It's like the smallest amount of epoxy I could squeeze out, and it's way more than I need. Okay, I'm going to count. I need to kind of keep track of the time here. Thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it, and thank you for being so kind as I was dealing with my disaster. Oh, something sounds really bad. Oh, okay. Gripper ungripped. That was working. It was working, and then it's not. Epoxy all over the mirror. Okay, well, it was working until it didn't. Great. Whole thing's going to have to be repainted anyway. Guess I'm just going to have to hold it by my fingers. You can't believe that. Well, I can believe it. This is how things go. Like, no. No, seriously. Just trying to get it like even as much as I can by eye here, just as the epoxy is starting to set. And this isn't going to be absolutely perfect in terms of how it's sitting on the car, but it's going to be, I think it'll work a lot better than if I tried to do it any other way. Well, it's on. It's stuck on there anyway. It looks like it's okay this way. It looks like it's... it's as good as it's going to get. So I'll be test fitting this on Friday, and if it isn't any good, I'll just pull it off or cut it off and start over. But there's one of the two. I'm not quite sure what to do with it other than hold it, I guess, for a bit yet. Really want to set it down. There's no way to set it, really. I guess that's it. I mean, that's how it's going to be. Do the other one. What can go wrong? Yeah, I just went silent because today was bad. Today went badly. The decal set for the Lotus was not what I expected. And instead of having a triumph of construction by saying, "Oh, look, those decals look really good on the side of that car," it was a failure. I mean, a total, complete, could not be salvaged failure. And as such, I need the car might never be done unless I can get a new decal set somehow, which I will attempt to do. This worked once, but then it popped off. It's not worth the effort. Sometimes it's best not to try things that can't be done. Sometimes it can't happen. And if something can't happen, you just have to give it up and not try anymore. And that's what happened with the decals. With this, to do this one-handed, I have a pocket seat on my right hand, and I don't want to be using my right hand particularly for anything, but these kinds of things, this kind of stuff just jumps. Isopropyl alcohol cleans it off. Okay. Stick this on here. And then do my best to get it oriented as it sets up. It's definitely not. Yeah, until it's pretty well set up, it's just going to keep moving. It's kind of getting it oriented. Holding it in place. No, this isn't going well at all. Nope. Yeah, sorry for being quiet. I just need to get this oriented, you know, so it's close. Um, so this flat thing is what's going to attach to the windshield, which is actually kind of close to the way the car was actually built. It The mirrors were attached not by this little prong, but by a sheet metal fairing that was attached to the windshield. I can't fabricate the whole thing, but this will actually look somewhat closer to the real thing than if I just stuck the little pin onto the windshield. And hopefully there'll be an alignment and they'll look okay. Everything looks a little bit, I don't know. It doesn't look straight from one angle, but then when I look at it from the top, it is. So I don't know quite what to make of that. But at least this will hold solidly, this epoxy. And I'll be able to attach these after I repaint them. So on Friday, what I'll do is I'll paint them and let the paint dry, and then attach them. Need to put the roll bar on and the suspension pieces, and then the car will be complete except for the wheels, which I won't attach until I get the decal set. What can I say? I mean, other than that, it was a disaster. Other than it being a total, complete, unmitigated, unanticipated, unrecoverable disaster with the decals. And it would have been really tedious if I'd known that they were all individual little bits, cutting them off and sliding them on and orienting them and getting them in the right order. It would have been very tedious, but eventually it would have gotten done. It might have taken quite a while to get it done, but at least it would have been done. But it was not at all what I expected. And then I kept losing. They stuck to my fingers. They fell there. I lost a few. It became an impossibility. And once it was impossible, it was not worth continuing. Okay, I'm just going to hold this now for another minute or so to make sure that it's hardened. And then I'm going to put it in the box. Got like a half hour left. Might wrap up early just in morning for, not that it is morning, but just like sadness morning. Okay, that looks pretty sturdy. Okay, I'm going to leave those now. Come back to them again on Friday. I'm going to clean up my work surface a little bit too. I have all sorts of excess paper towels now. That's handy. And trash. I'm just putting some things away here. Okay, so well, those are waiting for, the future. Yeah, I hope I can find those decals. I'll be looking for them today. I'll let everybody know on Friday if I had any success in finding them or not. It would be really nice if I can, or at least something similar. So I could do one of several things. I could just say I give up for today. I could just say that. You can look at the parts as they sit in their little box. I could just say that. I could say I could get the Apollo out and think around with that a little bit. Maybe I'll do that just so you know what else I'm working on. This is the Apollo command module. Okay. And the all of these are prints and sticky bits of the control panel. And what I did last week was I put the stickers. I got the stickers onto the main control panel here. Okay, so that it looks like a control panel and not just a piece of plastic. And then I've got sticky bits for this and the side panels. And that goes like that. As it starts to be enclosed. Okay. And then this, and to be honest, I've never figured out really how this is supposed to attach. This goes in here somehow. Okay, so I'll just show you this. The seats slide in here. Easier without the guys on it. We'll put them on later. And this is supposed to go over their head somehow. I think like this. I don't know what this is about, though. These tabs look like they go. I played with this maybe a half a dozen times when I first, when I was working on this many months ago, trying to get it, trying to figure out how this worked. I mean, this part I can get. Okay. That all works fine. But I've never figured out how this is supposed to attach. Is when this is attached, okay, and it's all glued together. Like that. These tabs, none of these tabs fit on anything. I would think maybe they'd slide in, but maybe I got to. They would go on the outside. I'm gonna have to look at the instructions again, but I just horizontal tabs like go there. Okay, but then this doesn't fit on anything, and it's supposed to be angled down. Okay, at least I can see where this goes. This instrument panel. If you look inside here like this, you can see there's sort of like a screen. Okay, that goes like right in there. Goes right there. And that screen shouldn't be there. So I'll somehow make that work. And then there's these side things that go. They're actually supposed to go on either side of the main. It really feels like it should go way inside somehow. Now, let me get the instructions out and try to figure out how that goes. This will give me something to mess around with for the last 20 minutes that probably isn't going to hurt anything. I hope. I can find the instructions. No, that's the Apollo story. There's a whole story about the Apollo. Where's the instruction manual going? Seriously, how could I misplace that? It is. Why it's in here, I don't know. Now, see, this goes like this. This all gets built like this, and then it's really not helpful. This just, it says go there. On the side wings, okay, so here's the detail. The Those are supposed to go at that angle. But then they don't attach to anything. Tabs go underneath, maybe? See, this is that. And it looks like this is supposed to go in this vertical here. And these are supposed to just match up at this angle. This is going to be like all the other models. Yeah, they're looking up at the control panel. It's supposed to fit like that, like those. Maybe the tab goes on top? I guess like that. But it looks like it's supposed to lay on top of this thing. Like it's supposed to be. It's supposed to lay on there. It's like these tabs are in the way. I don't know what those. I mean, they're definitely there. But if these match up like this, and the tabs are on top, and it looks like they should be under here like this, but then it doesn't match up. Here. Okay, so this is helpful. So this looks like it's supposed to match up there, but when you look at this, like here, look at this picture, these tabs do go underneath that piece, and these just barely touch on the top. So it is supposed to be that these go under here, like that one did. Like that. That's how that's supposed to be on. Okay, what that means as I'm looking at this is that this excess, okay, the excess instrument panel on the bottom, I thought that wouldn't be in the way, but it's definitely in the way. So I'm going to trim that off. If this doesn't work, I can always unpeel it and start over. I've got several sets of these decals. I wasn't sure how that would work. I think, though, that I now see how this is supposed to go. So it'd be better if I used an X-Acto knife on this. Okay, well, I think I figured out how it's supposed to fit anyway. It's not how I would have thought until I looked at the other part of the instructions. And I've seen this happen before where, the instructions say to do it one way and it doesn't make any sense. And then you see the picture of it later on and you go, oh, that's what's supposed to happen. So let me try that again. Maybe I can end this session with not a disaster. Okay. That would be nice to end this session with not a disaster. So these all go like this. And then these tabs actually do go underneath there. That, and on the other side. Oh, I hate to think that your modeling experience comes from this. Well, I think I've said often enough that this is definitely not a how-to show, and that don't do what I do. Well, you can do what I do if it works, but don't do what I do. There, that fit right in. Okay. Don't do what I do if it doesn't work. Only do what I do if it works. So there, those pieces will fit like that. Now I get another, okay, now I begin to understand how this is supposed to work. These side pieces, see these? They go here. They go right here in the corners. They'll need to be trimmed because the model doesn't really fit the reality. Okay, but if you look inside, you can see that the control panel is not too bad. It looks a lot better than the blue plastic. That side fits better than this other side. So I'm going to have to just do some modifications so that they sort of work there. When I put this seat in, see if I can get this in, just to see how that all fits together. Mm-hmm. Yep, learn from my mistakes, and then you don't have to make them. Because I will make them for you. I have been making your mistakes for you. Okay, so that's how that goes. Yeah, that other panel goes way in the way back, and then these side panels are supposed to fit on there like that. Okay, well, this is one of those things, though, where it tells you to put these together in a certain order. That's not going to work. These are going to have to be all assembled at the same time because the clearances, um, they just don't. Like if this thing were cemented together the way they say to do it, I couldn't get the seat in. It just wouldn't fit, and I wouldn't be able to put this on. Okay, yep. All right. At least I kind of know what I need to do. I kind of know what I need to kind of do. Um, and as far as these go, the um, the only part that shows is like right here, and so I'm going to have to take these instrument panels and kind of modify them. It's testing to see this. This shows here, and this shows. So the instruments need to go on here and here, and maybe along the side. So I'll just be taking bits of this to make that happen. And then here, this thing here goes here and covers. There's no screen there. There's these little camera bits. So this is going to go right along the top here and then down the sides, and then I'll just modify it as necessary so that it works. I could probably, I don't know, see what happens. Cut it out. Now that I'm seeing how this all fits together, um, I may be able to get it together fairly quickly. I'm going to use contact cement because it gives me time, partly because the parts are painted. years to the painted surfaces, but it gives me time to align them and bind them up, kind of. Probably shouldn't be doing this, but it's just a sticker, and I've got 5 more. I've got a bunch more of these, so if this doesn't go well, I can do replacements. But at least, I might accomplish something today. I got the spinners painted, and not the knockoff hubs. I got those done. Get the backing off. Yay. There we go. Yay, now I've got a sticker. Now I need to stick on this using tweezers to which it sticks more than to the thing to which I'm sticking it. Yeah, that'll look much better than the thing that was on there before. I did a thing. I put a sticker on a thing. Yay. And then I'm going to have to, figure out how, because this isn't modeled. This isn't molded quite right. Okay. How to use these to fill in these spaces. I may end up just, I don't know, like cutting parts of them out, little bits of them out, and applying them. Do that today because I got this. This is working okay. I trimmed it off on the little tabs down here, so that's working. And I figured out how to attach it, so that helps. Okay, so on Friday, I'm glad you were entertained. It was the entertaining part was a disaster, wasn't it? That was pretty entertaining. It was having the worst disaster since I started the stream years and years ago now, and having built several models. You got to witness the worst disaster I've ever had, which was the destruction of my special decal set. And the side of the car now looking barren. So on Friday, I'm going to attach the last bits of the model to the car, just so that I can get that done, and it'll be done other than the sponsorship decals and the wheels. And I'm going to order another set of decals if I can find them, and when those come, hopefully I'll be able to finish the car. So on Friday it'll be done other than the wheels and the decals, and then I'm going to go back and work on this. And we'll see if I don't have a disaster with this. I should be able to have the command module pretty much finished. That would be pretty cool because this is the last bit. This is the last bit of the Apollo model that needs to be done. I've decided I'm going to put the astronauts in. Okay. They look very, very clean, don't they? I'm going to just use rubber cement to hold them in place. And I'm going to put them in before I install the seats because getting them in later will be difficult. And then I'll just show this. My standing on the moon astronaut guy actually turned out pretty well. I think it looks pretty good. The gold visor worked okay. The gloves, the gloves actually, the real gloves actually have tiny little blue tips on them. And I was able to find the right color paint and paint the little blue tips on the gloves. And then I got some dark washout, and now it's got moon dust on him, the camera and things. So there's that. Yeah, so I'm going to come back to the Apollo probably on Friday because if everything, unless there's another unmitigated disaster, I should be able to get those parts onto the Lotus-Ford car without taking up all 3 hours. Should. It's not a guarantee. Okay. Well, thank you for joining in. I really appreciate it. There should be a D&D this weekend. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a stream this weekend. Okay. If not, you can always catch it on YouTube and catch up with it. But thanks for joining in. I really appreciate your support. I hope you had a really good holiday. You said you were gone for a couple of months. That's really cool. And I will, I'll be back on Friday, and let's see what happens. Hopefully these mirrors will attach. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I better stop now before I do something dumb. Like, I don't know what it would be, but you can count on it. So thanks again. I really appreciate your support, and see you on Friday. We'll see what happens.